Good morning. I'm Reverend Lucie Lopez, and I'm the speaker for today. My topic today is from the Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8a. And originally, Paul the Apostle wrote this to the Corinthians when he discovered that there was a lot of internal strife amongst the congregation, and he was concerned that it would end up causing a real rift, and he wanted to remind them of the concepts that Jesus mirrored while he was in this world. He wanted them to be aware that love is many different things. And so he wrote this particular verse. And then, additionally, that particular verse became very popular in the 20th century. I want to say 1900s or 20th century. It became very popular to be used in weddings, to remind couples that they needed to look at each other and to treat each other in the very best possible ways. So let's start with love is patient. I know for myself that one of the times when I had to absolutely exercise a lot of patience was when I had a fairly newborn baby who was developing colic, and you're up at night and you're trying to get him to calm down, and they're crying, and I think that's why babies are so cute, because otherwise parents would be in really deep trouble. You fall in love with them immediately and you'll do anything for them. And it makes you patient. It makes you patient with them because they're just miserable and they don't know what to do about it. And you are the person, you're their person that takes care of everything for them. And so you feel like you need to do this with absolute love and consciousness there, even though you're full of sleeplessness and not having any kind of life for a little while. So that's one thing that I can think of that goes with patience, and it also goes with raising children and the different stages they go through. And I think probably the next most obvious stage would be the teenage years, when your children who have adored you since you were little now suddenly find that you can't even choose your clothing right, or that your makeup is all wrong, or that you're saying all these wrong things and there's nothing you can do that's right as far as they're concerned. But yes, that too passes, and that requires a lot of patience. The next one is that love is kind. Love takes care of things. You see the almost cliche idea of a young boy or a young girl helping an old lady across the street, or offering, even in a commercial more recently, there's this young man who's helping this older woman take her groceries back home, and they ended up developing a relationship because he would see her and then he would always help her take whatever it was that she had home, and they became friends. So it's kindness like that that takes care. I can remember that there was a grandfather and his grandson in the grocery store, and they had put the groceries up to go through, and when they finished the whole process, the grandfather didn't have enough money. And so the person who was behind him in line, he wanted to put the milk back, and so that he could be able to pay for it. And the person behind him in line said, "No, keep the milk. I will give you the money to pay for the milk." And so she handed over the cash for the the milk in the process, and he got it, and he was just so relieved, and it became clear that he needed that for his grandson, and that there wasn't much happening in terms of finances to be able to hold things, and he was trying to do the best that he could. It's that kind of kindness that we do for people that we don't even know. And sometimes it's for people we do know. It's like remembering not to correct your grandmother because she's told you the same story 4 times. It's all I can remember was I adored my grandmother, and when she told me those stories, I wanted to hear them, even if it was 3 or 4 times, and even if it was a lot more. But I can remember that my aunts and my mother would always say, "Mom, you told us this before," and she just had this look on her face that was kind of sad. So I always listened because I enjoyed those stories and I didn't mind hearing them over and over again. It's sort of like the idea that when you have a child and you're reading a particular story, they always bring you the same book for a long time. Or if they're watching, I never remember when my own granddaughter was living with us for a while, we had a Disney film called The Fox and the Hound. And in that, this unlikely friendship builds up between a fox and a hound, and she would go watch this every day for like 3 or 4 months. But after she started watching it, one of the things that she would go to her papa and she'd say, "Papa, you're my best friend." And then she'd come over to me and she called me Easy. "Easy, you're my best friend." And it was just so cute and so lovely. And the kindness of it, it just, even when I think about it now, it makes me smile. It makes me smile a lot. Let's move on to it does not envy. Others' good fortune is something to celebrate. They would celebrate for you if they were of same mind. Envying other people's good fortune is not helpful to you, nor is it to them. And it creates sometimes a friction between you and a disharmony that you don't want to have in your relationships. So envy is something that is not useful or helpful. And in love, there is no envy. You rejoice. You rejoice in their good fortune, and you wish them well. Next we have, it keeps no record of wrong. This is something that I have seen frequently, that people will be upset with their friends and they keep a tally. And based on that tally, they may decide later on not to be friends with that person anymore. And sometimes, most of the time, the tallies are for stupid things. Things that are easier to do something. No, it's not easy to do it. It's actually difficult to do. To sit down and talk it out. But approaching another person about something that you feel that they did that wronged you is really hard to do. It takes a lot of courage, and for me, it's taken more courage in some instances than I thought I had. But it's what I do now, and the reason is because when I approach somebody with something that really hurt my feelings or really made me feel less than, and I approached them without being angry to see what was going on, because most of the time they aren't even aware of it. They aren't aware that you took that wrong because it's something in your past that has triggered you, and they have no clue as to what it is. And when you find out, they're mortified. They're absolutely mortified that they have set things off or triggered you in any kind of a way. And so I find, even though that's really difficult to do, I find it's better for me to talk to people when I have become upset about some things. And it also makes me apologize when I know sometimes I become very, how shall we say that? I'm blunt. I'm a blunt person, and sometimes people don't take that well. And so when I see faces that look like they have been harmed, then that's when I want to say, wait a minute, what did you think that I just said? And then we have that discussion, and so that it's taken care of immediately. And it's only because I have had such good luck with that and have created, because of it, one of my lifelong friendships that meant great deal to me. My friend, I said something to her when I first met her, and it was kind of blunt and rudish, and I saw the look on her face, and I came back and I said, I'm sorry, I apologize. That was not appropriate, and you didn't deserve it. And because I apologized, she and I became really good friends, and we were probably the closest friends she was the closest friend that I had up until she died. So be aware of those kinds of things. Love also protects, and you see that in the case of your children. You watch out for them, you teach them how to be prepared and how to take care of themselves. You also take care of your spouse, and when they're having difficult times, you support your spouse or your significant other. That those are things that need to be done in order to enrich and develop a deep relationship. So protection is important. The last two are coming through is love always trusts and always hopes. And some of us have had backgrounds where things weren't always easy to trust. But I found that, especially when I started this teaching, it lit up my life and made me a happy person, because I had hope. I knew that all I had to do was change my thinking, and to stop wallowing in stuff that was 20 years past, things that probably at the time weren't meant the way that I took them. And so it always is there for me, that I trust that everything is going to work out. And I hope for a brilliant future, and I'm excited for it. And lastly, love never fails. When you have love, there are always opportunities. There is always a way forward. There is always something to look toward. I can't tell you, I am just really graced with an incredible life. I don't have a lot of riches, but I always have what I need. And I always have more so that I can share. And I have the love of my husband of 42, going to be 43 years. And I also have 2 beautiful children and 3 grandchildren that I love and they love me. I have my sisters. I have hope when it ends up in a situation that I had over the fall when both of my sisters were really ill at the same time, and I thought I was going to lose them both. And all I did was turn that over to the prayer team, to the ministers and the practitioners. And through that process, both of my sisters recovered. So I just want to say, you have hope, there's treatment. Make yourself availing of this possibility, because we are a family. We are here for each other. I'm here for you. I know that many, many, many of you are here for me, and that all I have to do is to ask if I need support, and that happens. So I would ask you now to avail yourself today of Vicky's practitionership today, and put in your prayer requests, because she's a powerful manifester, and she will do everything she can to help you move in the direction that you want to move. I am grateful today. I know that love is patient, love is kind. I know that love within this community is great and amazing, and I'm ever thankful for it. Namaste.